They need it after pushing them a little bit in that northwest. That northwest was pretty low quality. This isn't. They'll get fat on this. They've got almost 3 weeks of really quality food ahead of them. So Daniel pulled them out of the northwest field, put them in the 2 corridor roads up to here, let them kind of pick at that and eat off the corridors for a while in the high palatable regrowth. And now he's here lifting up the little gate to send the cows in. Definitely slid down in body condition a little bit with everybody nursing, plus the lower quality of that northwest field that I showed you guys in the last video. So what he's doing, he's got a little PVC pipe. It's got just some little screws and notches on it, basically, to keep the wires separate. Only the middle one's hot. We were planning on running some like sheep and goats out here, but we have since changed that plan. So we'll go down to 1 wire when we have labor for it. Pretty excited there.
Now they're excited.
This first section's a little big, just purely because of trying to set up lanes in a hurry and trying to just average out section sizes. What'd you say this first lane is? Almost twice the size of usual? 50% larger?
First section's about 1.6 times, I think.
So 60% larger?
Yeah.
So this will put them at probably what? 350,000 pounds to an acre?
Probably
400?
Yeah, somewhere in there. It might only be 50% larger, but it's in that ballpark.
So we'll probably be at 400,000 pounds an acre in here. Here they all come. Daniel's gonna put this up and then he'll wander back and go make sure to check for calves, round up any stragglers. Fence is currently off while he's messing with it. We do have some high voltage resistant gloves. I'm trying to find some good high voltage shoes so we can actually do a lot of this with it hot. But the guys still, for convenience in most cases, go ahead and just turn the fence off. They're just going to town on all this. So Dan, this was grazed, what, 60 days ago over here? Everybody else is coming. We definitely lost some body condition over the last week. We're going to stockpile at Northwest Field where the quality was so low. We also was stockpiled this spring, so building up fertility over there. It'll be better on the next grazing cycle than it was this one.
55 days ago.
So this was grazed 55 days ago. This east edge is definitely a little mature. We've got some full out seed heads on some of the Johnson grass, but I'll go in here and check it in a little while and see what percentage is actually seeded out versus kind of flag or boot stage. Here come all the calves. I've not seen any bulls in this current F1 crop that stand out to me like Rico from the last one. They're all okay. Good, but not great. They're moving forward, but none that are true standouts like the last cycle. That one got a scratch or something on it you're spraying?
Cloudy eye.
Ah.
Got a few of them. Just a handful popping up.
We got C90 brine out here for him already. You're going to get that soon?
Get that tomorrow morning.
Cool. The C90 really helps with the pink eye and the flies.
They have had it all, they have had it all time. Going back high.
Lots of calves on the ground. There's a whole group of calves running. What are y'all little guys doing? I'm so excited to get these F1s starting to breed. We got about 30 F1 females that'll be breeding this summer. We've actually got one bull in here currently. That one home raised bull. I put him in about 30 days early. I would have done 25 days early, except for the fact that we're gonna have to run him through the chutes for changing the collars over to the new SIM cards. But I wanted to give him, that's one of the worst cows in the herd. We've pulled her out and given her some acute care a few times, but we'll probably get this calf off of her this year and then cull her. That back one back there's got a back leg, but she just keeps breeding back, so we'll do the same with her. Let her finish up this year and then probably cull her. I'm shocked that she's done so well. We would have pulled her out sooner, but she's nutso. She'll just run through fences trying to herd her away from the group. Are you the nurse cow for the night? Or afternoon? You're looking pregnant. You should have a calf of your own here soon. All right. Now we got a lot of them in here. Looking forward to getting some condition back on them. So yeah, I figured home raised bull has the innate wisdom and epigenetics of the land from having gestated here.
About 550,000 pounds per acre here. It's smaller than that.
Okay, so this is about 550,000 pounds to an acre. It's not quite as much bigger as I thought it was. They're still a little spread out. They'll get tightened up in the next section. Just installing these fast, they just slap this front section up to kind of eat up the margins. All right, let's go ahead and step in here and walk around with them. What are you doing? You checking out that salt? I got my puppy dog with me. Look how good this forage is in here. Already grazed this once this year. We're about 55 days recovery coming into here. We grazed this as one of the first fields in the spring. We've got tons of rain, good clover, some cool seasons, some warm seasons. They're gonna go to town on this. Remember how brown that grass was? It just low quality, like foxtail and barley grass in the last video in the Northwest. This is so much better. Good bit of diversity in here. Hi. If I remember correctly, this is one of the cows from Michael Kinsey that I bought over in Georgia, Reverend Wild Ranch. Excuse me, Mama. Beep, beep. Her head's silver from pushing on the aluminum wires that aren't hot. So those extra ones pushing and grazing underneath. They hit that Johnson grass real fast. Yep. We still have the river coming up on us with all this rain. We had an interesting winter. You want to get out of the corner? Or are you just going to hang out? All right, I'm walking by you. Don't stress out. Yeah, Daniel's been doing a really good job managing where we had them at the very beginning of the spring. I got you on film, Dan. They tested the river. So this is an 8-acre island, and the river wraps all the way around our property. You can see the trees on the hill in the distance. That's the other side of the river. And they tested the dam downstream of us because they did some maintenance on it over the winter. And they brought it up and flooded it up to 633 feet at the dam. And it was so much groundwater, like 40% of my neighbor's pasture is underwater. And the water was coming up on this island and coming up on the floodplain, bottom 60 acres down north, right where I'm looking. And it was getting to the point where my neighbor's ground was in the low spot, starting to come into ours, where probably 150 yards, 200 yards from that river water starting to get onto our actually bottom grazing land down here. There was so much water that the groundwater filled up, and our lakes and ponds, you can see one in the distance right there, were actually bubbling from groundwater pressure filling them up. And then we had the wettest spring in Oklahoma history. We've gotten over like 25 inches of rain so far this winter. It just has not stopped raining. So Daniel's been competing with mud a lot, trying to manage. He chuckles.
Hence, just walking through it earlier, moving the herd over here.
And just keeping their feet moving, being really good about locking them in when it's raining so they're getting moisture off the forage, and controlling walking back to water once a day, and zigzagging through the lanes a bit to protect the ground. It's been really intensive management this last couple months. And that last field we were in is not the lowest field in this bottom lands we've got, but it's definitely not the highest. This is probably the highest in here. And being back on firm ground with fresh, good-looking, diverse forage, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to manage. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a slip in body condition, Dan. Probably a whole body condition score across the average. Just from the last, yeah, just from like the last 2 weeks. But that hard hit on that forage in the northwest, with it having rested as a stockpile rest,
yeah,
is going to really push forward succession of species over there. That's only the second time we've grazed that, right? I think
third.
Third.
Because we hit it once with when we were just
Like,
when we first barely starting to get the herd adjusted to ultra high density, where we were just trying to work
like
that way.
we were like 80 cows or something at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Yeah. And then hayed it once and grazed it 2 more times. So it's just starting to get enough animal pressure to really leap forward. This next time we go through, it'll be much, much better, because we're going to stockpile it again and then hit it late fall, early winter.
You want to show this real quick?
Yeah, so
I was confused. I was thinking that was where we were, which I knew that one of them was really big. We're in this one. We're going to be moving north, which is now behind us, up this way, and then we'll start back over on this section and move back north again.
So we'll graze we're on this east, so the right side of the photo side, and then we just have them section by section back walking, and then when we finish a lane, we move them west 1 lane. We've got the lanes so short right now as far as number of sections. Usually we do 2.5 days of grass, but what we found with the calves is we like moving through those lanes at like 1.5 days, so that we can leave the back lane open for the mamas to wander back and get their calves, but still not hit the 3-day mark when we're at the next lane ahead, as a way of actually keeping the density up while still calving. So we're going over to having 1.5 day long lanes, not 2.5 day long lanes. This will be the first time trialing that different approach, and I'm looking forward to how it goes. Where's Rico? He's in here somewhere.
Yeah, I confirmed him this morning. So I didn't make note of him yesterday, but he's here.
You seen him mount anybody yet?
I have not.
Rico's our one home raised bull we kept. Gave him a little advantage ahead of the other bulls. Figure try to maximize the just natural wisdom of
Is that him?
nature in the system. Nope. Figure being raised here, he's much better in bought in bulls, so let him get as many of the females settled as he can, since he was so much better in his first generation crop. Excuse me, Mama. I gotta come through. You're so calm.
That's Moxie. That's from our Virginia herd.
One of my cows that came from the original group out in Virginia. Mama. Let me by. There you go. There he is. How old is he? 14 months?
16-ish.
16?
Yeah, 16 to 17.
So we pushed that bull group hard last fall and winter. He kept gaining weight and growing while the other big bulls, we had a couple of our real big quality bulls drop 100 pounds because we were pushing the group so hard. And he's just way more masculine than everything else. And our calf crop, he just came out born looking like a man. And I was planning on cutting the whole F1 group and only keeping F2 bulls, but I just couldn't cut him because he was too good. Big head, dark head and neck, very thick shoulders, hairy testicles, huge gut capacity. I'm really excited to see what he gets as far as producing calves for me. One of the mamas roughed him up a bit. He's got a scratch down his side. Said, I ain't ready to be bred yet, young gun. So then,
they stripped all the leaves off of these.
Yeah, right off the tops of the Johnson. So all you guys who say that, like in the Facebook group we were talking the other day, like, they don't selectively graze. Like I was talking to somebody, I was like, oh, they're only in there for 12 hours. They won't pick that much selection in 12 hours. This was in 20 minutes. They 100% selectively grazed. You can come in here with a stopwatch and a notebook and watch what they eat the first 20 minutes, the second 20 minutes, the third 20 minutes, and actually in a section figure out the palatability gradient of the grasses just by watching what the cows eat, what they won't touch, or what they resist touching until later in the grazing window. And then we track palatability gradients in order to actually just determine, balancing with the rumens, how hard we're pushing the cows in any given section. There's the calves. They're out here just creep grazing. There's some Bermuda coming in. This is all going to be pretty good. Hi, Mama.
This is that calf, is that mom. They're facing opposite ways, but they look identical.
Yeah, they do, which is funny because that's not from a Piney Woods bull, right? Or was she maybe pregnant when she got here? Was she a fall purchase? No, I don't think she is. She's got
been here a while.
She's got Jess's little tree brand on her, which I think is out of the DeSoto National Forest group, if I remember correctly. So that's probably a Mashona cross, which often are coming out stamped in solid colors, but sometimes we're getting really pretty little spotted ones. I wish the market didn't hate spotted ones. I love the colors, but we won't select for it. We'll just run the program. So our breeding program, right, we got them all under density. We're doing no anti-parasite care, no vaccines, not even blackleg. And then we're just putting all the moms under equal conditions and pushing them hard. A little bit of protein supplement during stockpile grazing. Sometimes a little energy supplement with molasses while we're indocking new animals. It takes them like 6 to 18 months for the rumens to really adjust here and kind of come up and be efficient. So what we do for the breedings, we're just tracking Johann's idea of 2+3 cows. So we're watching for F1 heifers, breed them at 14 to 15 months. And the goal is for them to calve before they turn 2, breed back, calve again before they turn 3, and to wean both those calves at 50% of the mom's body weight. And the ones that do that are showing they're able to gestate, grow frame and body, and finish out like actually maturing, and nurse all at the same time, those are the best females in the herd, because once you take the pressure off of growth needs, now all they have to do is gestate and nurse, and they're in the same conditions. They'll just perform really well. We'll keep the bulls intact from those F1 heifers that hit the 2+3 mark. We'll multi-sire those successful bulls. We'll do DNA tests of the calves out of those bulls to see which one of those bulls settled the most cows. And then I'll keep probably the top 20% by calf count of those bulls that sired the most. And we'll run them again on the main herd and concentrate their genetics. So it's just as Johann would say, it's aggravated natural selection and using fertility as the catch-all for everything else. Because if they have poor parasite resistance, poor hormonal balance, poor gut capacity and like just inherent body condition or feed efficiency, anything at all, they'll show in their slowness to breed back, because it's all stress on reproduction. Fertility is also doing that with that 2+3 plus multi-sire. It's also strongly selecting for early sexual maturity, which is going to lead to strong sexual dimorphism, probably bring the frame size down a little bit, but hopefully we'll also end up with really sick, thick animals, which correlates to sexual dimorphism and that basically when sex hormones kick on, growth hormones stop. Showing you what we got ahead in the lanes. We'll walk around the front too. So it causes long bone growth to stop. So basically they've got the frame and gut capacity of a large animal, or the gut capacity and muscle structure and the organ structure of a large animal, but the frame of a smaller one, which means they're really maximizing feed efficiency because their maintenance energy is lower, while their total ability to consume energy is higher. And it also just correlates to everything else that matters. Marbling's in there too, selecting for early sexual maturity and fertility. I'm excited to see what ends up coming out of this year's breeding season. We're starting to have, got like 30 F1s that are going to breed. Going to go to our good bulls, and we'll actually start having some F2s on the ground next year. So we'll end up with probably 15 female F2s on the ground next year, and then the year after that we should have probably 60 or 70 F2 females on the ground. Pretty stoked. But yes, this is what it looks like ahead. There's some that's kind of doe stage, some that's kind of seeded out, some that's still more flag stage or transition stage. The Bermuda's off mostly pretty young. There's a good bit of mix in here. We've got some vetch, some clover, some warm seasons, some cool seasons. They're going to do really well. Let's see, is there anything else I want to talk to you guys about while I had you this time? Feel free to comment on the video's questions. I'm happy to talk about anything. Oh, here's one. We've had an interesting calving season. So we bought in 210 females in the fall. And we're dropping parasite support and vaccine support and all those things, and just looking for ones that are hardy. And one of the things we found is that the calves from the new animals are struggling a bit, because a calf's immune system comes purely from the colostrum from the mom. So everything the mom's been exposed to in her life, there's antibodies and such inside the colostrum. Their gut lining is basically kind of porous when they're born, and that colostrum lets all those antibodies through, and then it seals up from the colostrum itself. And so the calves are not getting immune antibodies from all the different things we have on this property, because the moms have not been here long enough to experience it yet. So we've had to be a little attentive with calves this year of doing some colostrum drenches and some probiotics and things. Next year should be a lot easier on calves, because the moms will have a full 18 months of being here for their immune systems to get exposed to the full year's worth of just virus and parasite and whatever other pressures out here. Then they'll be able to pass it on to the calves. And our experience has been taking usually 12 to 18 months for a mom to be here long enough to start really slicking off and shining up, and her rumen adapting, and the microbes getting used to the forage base, and her immune system coming fully online. And I think part of it's mineral balance, of we're using really high quality minerals. We're getting rid of any sort of glyphosate that might be in things, which is actually pretty difficult. There's a lot of glyphosate residue on like non-organic molasses licks, or like our mineral previously had rice hulls as the flow agent, which is also typically high in glyphosate residues. And I think part of what's happened is they're having to detox all that stuff from previous places, and then their immune system kicking on, and then also like the microbes adapting to the forage here. And I think also it's cortisol. They have to get used to grazing at density and learn not to be stressed about it, 'cause cortisol directly correlates to like excess energy burn or even like bioavailability and absorption of nutrients. And it seems like, I don't know what those animals are that are making all that noise. I don't know if you guys can hear them on the camera. Do you hear that, Daniel? Is that coyotes? They sound kind of close. They might be up by our chickens. And then so, getting used to density, their cortisol levels will come down and they'll get used to everything. And then they really find their stride. In about 18 months, you'll have animals that look real rough, that kind of ribby, kind of rough coated, like that one back there you can see. And then after they've been here or that one too. But after they've been here 18 months, like she didn't look that great. And then after a year and a half here, she started stacking the condition on and slicking off. And it's just all about time on the land, man. Animals adapting. They can do it. Just got to be patient and not give them too many crutches that hurt the adaptation process. And stomach the challenges along the way. That's one of the hard parts of doing something like this and building genetics is got to have the pain tolerance for the stress of the process. But that's the value of what we're building as far as bulls and females will end up selling is we're not flinching. We're keeping them under pressure. We're not giving them too many crutches, and we're actually seeing what the real performance is and their durability, and we'll pass that on to everybody who ends up buying animals from us. But yeah, breeding season's officially started with one bull. We'll do a 45-day breeding season with the main bull group once we get all the new collars on them, probably I don't know, end of the first week or early the second week of July. Be sending everybody in. And 45 days with the main bull group. I will wait about 40 days and preg check everybody. This year I'll probably pull out the bottom 1 or 2% strugglers of the herd. I don't want to pull out too many because they're all new here. I'll give them a year to find their feet. It could be kind of shocking, the animals that really adapt and then become some really solid females. And then next year, once they've all been here, 18 months, I'll start tracking intercalving periods and weaning weights and get more aggressive on culling. But yeah, this is your update on the ranch. This is the forage they've got ahead of them. They're gonna love it. I mean, look at that. He got a little bit of seed hit on some of that Johnson, but a lot of that's perfect. A lot of this Bermuda's perfect. They're gonna be fat and happy. This is Joel, Smoke River Ranch, signing off. I'll check in with you again in a couple days.